Hi everyone, good morning, and I am Colonel Subhajeet Naha. I am the founder of Protect Technologies, and we are into providing mature vCISO, ISO 27001, and GRC maturity services to the small and medium business sector and the SMEs. Now, it's not that we have only served small and medium businesses sector; we have also served enterprises. So today's presentation, today's walkthrough is basically helping budding CEOs to build a cybersecurity blueprint for their company. Now, why is cybersecurity so important? Now, the main factor is today's cybersecurity is a business risk, is a major business risk, and it can really put down your businesses and get you out of the line. And it's a major risk, and therefore you need to know how to manage that risk. Right. So what happens is today in the sector, cybersecurity is looked upon as something which needs tools. Right. Most companies on the aspect of driving cybersecurity take a bottoms up approach, and they follow whatever their level one or level two employees tell them, and they end up doing to buying tools, getting a vulnerability assessment and a penetration testing done, and they just don't know how to drive policies. Now, what results is there's a lot of audit failures, a lot of compliance failures, and puts their businesses into risk. There are multiple examples of compliance failures which have led to fintech companies losing their licenses and stoppages in businesses. They fail their audits, and there's a great compliance gap which casts a reputation on their products and services. Now, why this happens? It happens because firstly, cybersecurity is a business risk, and therefore it has to be driven from the top down. That means there's a governance requirement. Cybersecurity needs to be owned up. You need to have roles and definitions, roles and responsibilities well defined, so that people can take ownership. Processes are owned, procedures are well owned, so that systems and processes remain secure. There's no roadmap, there's no strategy behind how you are going to execute your cybersecurity requirements, and therefore it might overshoot your budgets. You may under resource or over resource your institution, your organization, as far as cybersecurity and information security is concerned. And once ownership is not there, there will be no accountability. And there's a major part where you have to fix accountabilities, fix ownership in an organization. It's very difficult without ownership to drive information and cybersecurity practices. There's no evidence that you are doing enough to, secure your organization. If you don't have evidence, then how do you gain trust from your customer? Now you are losing out on some great amount of business if you are not ISO 27001 certified, or you're not carrying a SOC 2 type 2 audit report, and you just don't know how to get there. And that stems from the aspect that you don't have a security leader with you, somebody who understands the requirement of this environment today, with the digital growth which has happened and the complexities that it brings along with it. And therefore, you need a security leader, and you don't have that. So, therefore, we developed our vCISO program. So, what our vCISO program is, we have some very highly experienced security leaders who understand the organizational place, the compliance space, and we bring in that expertise to organizations which are not so large that they need a full-time CISO, and at the same time they cannot afford a full-time CISO because it comes at some great amount of cost. And therefore, we provide that kind of a service to our customers, to the small and medium businesses, at 1/10 of the cost. You can call it a fractional CISO or a virtual CISO, whatever you want to call it, right? And we know what drives businesses, and how quarterly profits needs to be negotiated, and where this business risk aligns, where this compliance risk aligns, the security leader can bring it for you. Now, what does a vCISO do? A vCISO firstly creates that environment and framework which can help you in driving security from a top-down approach, right? Wherein you get into understanding the business line, you get into understanding the risk, and you get into understanding as to how the security efforts will help drive business growth and not become a stoppage. Therefore, a vCISO starts owning the governance aspect of security. Now, one of the major part of what a CISO has to do is to implement a framework, right? And one of the best frameworks today to deploy is ISO 27001. ISO 27001 is the security framework which is recognized world over. Customers trust it. If you have ISO 27001 certification and you present it to the customer, you will be immediately able to gain trust from your customer. That's one of the major part. And since a vCISO knows how to navigate with the leadership of the organization, at the same time drive security management, a security leader can handle these challenges and aspects. Now, what is the problem of the CEO in today's organizations? The CEO knows it's a challenge, it's a problem, and he's just not able to, he or she is just not able to define who needs to own cybersecurity. Is it IT that needs to own the cybersecurity? Is it too technical? Is it developers who should be aware of cybersecurity? Is it founders? Founders have no time for that. And then you get a consultant who might come in at a hourly pricing and can give you certain requirements, but they may not be industry experts. Right now, there are a lot of industry consultants floating around who say that they are the cybersecurity expert, but that's not the case. And they end up selling tools. They can't establish accountability, and that's where a vCISO comes in. A vCISO comes in, someone like who has served in the industry for a very long time and is able to fix accountabilities and create a framework for cybersecurity. Now, what is a 90-day cybersecurity blueprint? How should you drive your cybersecurity in your organization? First phase is to discover how the organization works. What is the top management like? How is security related to your business processes? It's very important to understand the business processes. Without business process understanding, you cannot implement a cybersecurity framework. The next phase is to build the framework. You deploy a framework. I will say the best framework to deploy today is ISO 27001. You deploy a framework, create your plans and processes, and then you next on move on to the next phase, which will take you around 30 days, where you implement the plans and processes which you have worked out as per your framework. And then you audit those processes. It's very important to audit those processes to see that whether whatever you have planned for fits well into the implementation program. Now, generally what happens is in phase one, you do a gap assessment. You find out what are the gaps in the organization, what kind of assets do you hold in the organizations, IT assets, non-IT assets, process assets. Today, process assets are also very, very important. Any kind of administrative assets, physical assets. So all the assets need to be inventorized. Then you carry out a risk assessment as to what all the risks are there onto those particular assets. Now, once you do a risk assessment, you will come out with risk priorities. Now, it is not necessary that you have to, spend a lot of money to manage those risks. Some risks can be just be plugged by improving your processes, improving your a simple hiring process improvement can take away a lot of human risk. A lot of training goes in to reduce cybersecurity vulnerabilities. If you train your people well, then it automatically brings natural resilience in your organization. You start developing controls. You might have to spend a little bit on controls, and that's not very expensive. A simple tools which might help you in secure your organization is a good investment to uh, safeguard your organization. And then you start creating evidences. Of course, in today's world, where before you give any business to anyone, you would like to test their cybersecurity process, and therefore it's very important for a business to create enough evidences so that once a customer or a regulator asks, they have it. And therefore, once you do all this, you start building your maturity, and therefore you can provide trust and assurance to your uh, to the organization which you are going to do business with. Now, second phase would be to build your cybersecurity processes. This involves creating policies and procedures. How are you going to mitigate your risk? What are the various systems where you need to deploy SOPs? Any technical requirements wherein you might have to buy certain tools and softwares, right? One of the major risks today is brought to you from your vendors. So, how do you trust your vendors? How do you do due diligence on your vendors? That's also a very important task. And as I said, humans remain the weakest link in security. How your HR is tuned to ensure that humans or your workforce does not bring you risk. Now, these are the major aspects of the build phase in which you build your cybersecurity program. In the phase three, you implement, you carry out certain tasks, and you do what you have planned for. It might involve awareness and training, logging and monitoring security aspects. You carry out access reviews, who has access to it, what kind of assets. You inherently secure your assets by doing patch management. You create backup so that in case of any eventual failure, you can bring your systems up from backups, and you are ready for incidents. You find out what all incidents can happen in your organization, and you can create an incident playbook as to how to respond to various cybersecurity incidents. Now, phase four is where you start now auditing your systems and processes, and you carry out internal audits, management reviews. You see that whether you are ready for going for a certification process, and you start building evidences for the same. Now, once you do that, you start building your GRC backbone, right? What is GRC? Governance, risk management, and compliance. So, governance establishes accountability. It showcases that the top management has done their due diligence to establish cybersecurity and information security processes. It makes your business uh, legally safe, right? Risk management will help you in prioritizing what all risks do you need to actually tend to, and you don't end up spending unwanted resources on risks which you do not have. And finally, compliance becomes a major challenge today with a lot of laws and regulations coming in, like DPDP. You need to ensure that you have your compliance program and you have adequate evidences to prove that you have done nothing wrong. And finally, the part of GRC is to continuously monitor your security program. And once you continuously monitor your security program, it brings trust within your processes, and it also brings trust to your customers and the regulators. Now, once you get a vCISO on board, you will typically have a management review where the vCISO reports. Now, you should draw a KPI so that the dashboard can be given to the top management, and that should involve top risks. What are the KPIs and KRIs? How well are you suited for your audit? What are the types of vendors and what kind of risks they bring in? And what are the incidents which are happening in your organization, to understand the kind of risk and how well your maturity comes in your compliance. You might like to give a compliance score also to the top management. Now, we've carried out this processes for multiple organizations. I'd like to give a case of a fintech company which got acquired by a major company. Now, the once they came to us, they didn't have any top-down approach in their cybersecurity management. So what we did is we said, okay, to manage cybersecurity, we need a senior leadership. We got in with our senior leadership, and we deployed a framework. So we deployed ISO 27001 framework, and within 90 days, the organization was ready to, showcase their security framework to the investors and to the company which was acquiring them. The second thing is a second case study would be for a SaaS organization which was based out of both US and India. Uh, they had major challenges because for their growth, they needed ISO 27001 certification and business continuity, that is ISO 22301 certification. Now, there are multiple challenges. They had grown quickly, their team sizes were very large, but they did not have any security, leadership. And though they have good technical people, but they did not understand the processes. We went in and deployed some really great application security processes for both in the infrastructure that is in the cloud and the processes required to mature their application development. And what resulted into was a great maturity in the application security processes, and they themselves understood. And ultimately, this organization is also scaling very well in their business operations. Uh, the third case study I would like to give you is with a crypto exchange based out of Middle East. Now, there's a lot of regulatory pressure for this particular organization because this organization operates out of UAE, and there are great compliances to be met. Now, though they are very technical, they understand technicalities, but they do not understand the governance aspects, the various policies, how to drive them. And our vCISO and GRC program help them in getting compliant and getting the license which they required for operating in UAE. Now, why protect, right? We are a bunch of ex-army Corps of Signals professionals. We come with highly military-grade discipline. We have some proven expertise, and we implement fast. We deploy resources, implement fast. We have a very clear communication techniques, and we provide some really strong outcomes for maturing your security processes. Now, what you get with our vCISO program is we do get in and we have daily and monthly calls with the senior leadership. We deploy a framework. We deploy some mature professionals who we have trained over the last 3 years, and they get in and they set a framework very quickly. And we start building metrics and reporting structure. We deploy policies. We train your people. We deploy the processes required for making your organization secure. And that gives a great amount of visibility to your board of directors, board of investors, or the top management. We provide a clear roadmap and execution timeline. And generally, we have seen for small businesses, we are able to turn around the security processes within 6 months. And large enterprises, it takes around a year to turn around their security maturity. Now, why it is a real benefit for CEOs? Because your organizations are audit ready. You can face any enterprises. You can do big business with your larger enterprises. Today, large enterprises will give you business only if you are ISO 27001 certified, and they would like to look into your security processes. It becomes customer trust ready because customers start trusting you. You are a secure and scalable business, and it also helps you in your fundraising abilities.
Right. I hope you liked our this vCISO session. And if you would like to get a security posture review, Protect is offering a 30-minute free security posture review for the first 5 companies. You can get in touch with us at inquiry@protect.io. You can also visit our website at www.protect.io, or you can get in touch with us on our mobile number. We are based out of India, 8800642768. I hope you've been able to get an overall, a broad level understanding of how to deploy security for your organization. See you next time. Thank you.